Stephen, we like doing the origin story with all our guests, try to find out. And I got a little bit of this when they did like a crew chief thing with your girl and with your dad at White Mountain. Mm-hmm. And your dad said that they asked him how he got started in the racing, and he said you. So are you the first like guy in your family that started the racing, and how did you get started with it?
Yeah, my dad. I'm the first one in my family to get going with it, and my dad went to Riverside Park like years ago for a handful of races and helped a guy that lived in the town that I grew up in. And other than that, he really wasn't involved in racing. And we grew up on anything with a motor, like anything, like mostly quads and dirt bikes. And never really raced dirt bikes, but rode pretty much like 4 or 5 days a week when I was younger. And then my parents didn't really want me racing dirt bikes, so so we got into go-karts at Nutmeg Kart Club, which is now in Berlin. That was back when it was in Shelton. And then one thing led to another, and we went from there to Legend Cars, and then SK Lights, SKs, and to where we are.
So how old are you?
27.
So you have siblings?
Yeah, I got 2 brothers.
And did they race at all?
They all raced go-karts for a little while, but they didn't go much further than that. They weren't into it as much.
Yeah. So Legend Cars, that's when I first knew you, was going down the bowl.
Yep.
And is that the first place that you raced Legend Cars?
Yeah, it was like the only place really. Like we didn't know any better to travel around. Like we raced Legend Cars there in 2012, 2013. In 13 we traveled a little bit and ran Bethel, White Lake, New York, and Seekonk once or twice, but we never really went anywhere besides Waterford.
And you jumped right to SK Lights from those?
SK Lights at Stafford, yep.
Yeah. What was that jump like?
I was pretty comfortable with it. The Legend Cars back then were very competitive. There was a lot of guys that were fast.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really paid much attention to it now, but we used to have like 25 cars, and there was at least 10 or 12.
Would you say 12, 13, 2012, 2013? Yeah. So the Di Matteos are still running them back then, right?
Di Matteos were running, Garbo.
Oh, yeah, Garbo was good.
He was. Matt Papa.
Yeah, he was really good.
There was a lot of people that put the time in and were running good back then. And it was competitive. I really had no idea what I was doing.
Kashiba and Izzo, those guys were running them then too,
They were still running then too, yep.
Yeah, that's right. They were real competitive.
Yeah.
Angelo Balsito, he runs like Pro Stocks up nuts. Yeah.
Buckeye?
They were kind of out by then. That was right.
He was out by then.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was out by then. So when you get to the SK Lights, like when is this? Because obviously, I feel like you're known for as much behind the wheel as you are as a crew chief now, chassis guy. When did you know like you really were taking to this, not only behind the wheel but setting the car? Like when did that hit you? Where hey, I can make these things go fast.
So my dad owns an automotive repair shop, and I grew up there. Like every summer, every chance I wasn't at school or something, I'd be there. So I was always working on stuff. And when we got into the lights, we were involved with chassis dynamics. Yep. And we would most of the time end up building whatever we needed. And then one thing led to another. And, I always envied the people that had nice looking cars and good looking equipment. And I always wanted my stuff nice. So you start by making some body panels, and then next thing you know, you're making everything you can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your cars always did look pretty sharp. So when did you go from, how long did you run the SK Lights for?
Just 2 years, 14 and 15.
And then you went right to the SKs at Stafford?
Yeah.
But didn't you dabble in like tour mod stuff relatively quickly?
No, I got that wrong. I didn't race a tour mod till 2019. I think I only ran 2 or 3 shows with Jensen's.
But are you crew chiefing for people, or you working with people then?
I was. I moved to Massachusetts, and I worked on Rob Fuller's 15 car. Chase Dowling drove it in the tour, and at the end of 17 and 2018, we ran pretty well. We always showed up prepared. We worked our guts out on that car and made sure it was perfect every week. And I think that's what kicked it off. And then, once that came to an end, I started working with other teams and branching out. And I went on my own, started my business in 2019. And then, it just became one after another. And I worked with a lot of people, just about, I would say over half the people that we race against at one time or another.
Yeah. How does it get started for you to get tied in with Fuller? Like, how did that whole, with Chase, were you guys already friends?
You guys were young, too. You're still teenagers when that happened, right?
Yeah, Chase and I went to high school together, and we just became best friends. And, I mean, he was already hooked up. He was already running the tour, and I think Fuller had his eye on him to drive his car, and once that happened, I came in the picture afterwards. But
at that time, did you have any crew chief experience besides your own car?
No, I really didn't have any experience. I just knew how to work on them, and then wanted to learn, and next thing you know, I could pretty much do whatever we needed to do. Right.
So were you in charge of setups back then, or were you learning off Fuller?
I would say the first half of the year we learned off Fuller. And then don't forget too, 2018 was a big year for him as far as selling cars and trying to keep his customers happy too. So the last half of that year, he was involved, but everything was on our shoulders. And
right.
I think because of that, it forced the two of us together to get better and learn about the cars and how to make our stuff better than what he was selling to everyone else. So there was like a little bit of a border that was built to still try and beat the cars that we had to work on during the week.
You and Chase still good friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of miss him. I think he's a really good shoe. I know like real life is right. He's got married, got a house, right? Does he have his own business too?
No, he's working for one of the companies that helped us out along the way.
Yeah.
But he pretty much runs the show over there.
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him late last year, and he said something to me like, I'll be back. He's like, life's busy now, but he's like, I'm not done racing. I'll be back.
No, he loves it. He loves it, and he can't, as much as he tries to pretend like he stays away when he's not involved. He doesn't. He's paying attention.
Yeah.
And he'll be back racing again. I mean, he's running a part-time schedule with Tinios this year.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to him because they're all great guys and putting the work in and everything, but you can only go so far on a part-time effort. And I think that's what's bothering him. I think you'll see him come back and be just as good as he once was.
Right. How about now? Like now he's on that part-time deal with Tinio, and I'm sure they have their own guys. And you become such an important factor to a lot of different race teams now. Does he call on you? I mean, I just as friends be like, hey man, this is kind of what's happening in this. I mean, do you guys still talk like that?
Yeah, definitely. And there's nothing I won't tell him. Like I always want to help him, try and make sure his ride's the best it can be. But he also doesn't. Also on a part-time deal, like when you're only so involved, so you really can't just step on everyone else's toes and try and run the show. So it's kind of it's a tough thing, but I don't know. He knows how to make it better himself, so he'll get it better.
So what exactly is your business?
So to be honest with you, I've slowed down quite a bit from what I once did. There was a time where I was trying to build everyone's cars, trying to set up everyone's cars, and we did it successfully for a few years. But like most recently, like I'm in a pretty good position myself with my car owner and the guy I drive for. He's great to me, and he wants us to do as much racing as we can handle, and he's willing to do his part. So I'm really just trying to focus on that, and racing's hard too, especially being in the business. I think our cars are fast because I understand every piece about our cars and how to make them better and know what I want and know what I feel and how to get to what I want to feel. And you can put all the effort into someone else's car and they might not, feel the same way about it. And in some cases you can even, ask them what they have for stagger and they can't tell you. So it's hard to help people sometimes, but most recently I'm trying to just kind of do my own thing again and just kind of stay working with the people I like working with.
So when you were doing that though, were you strictly sticking to like Troyer or LFR, or it didn't matter?
Mostly Troyer, LFR, Fury. But it really didn't matter. But I guess it did matter because I didn't really go outside of that at all.
Yeah. So. What's the difference between Fury and LFR?
Fury and LFR are the same car essentially. They're not. LFRs were originally built at what is now Fury, that was LFR.
Right.
And when they separated and Rob wanted to continue building cars and he purchased Troyer, they were building the same car, and Fury was more focused on the super late model stuff, really is the truth. And they continued servicing the cars that were out there. And they sold a few too, but it wasn't really like the push that Fuller did through Troyer. And, you know, he sold a lot of cars, but at the end of the day, like they're not a whole lot different.
Right.